I know a number of folks who are fascinated with tracking aircraft flying overhead or nearby, but otherwise have no interest in flying themselves. There's a fascination in following aircraft. Popular websites for flight following are FlightAware and FlightRadar24. Aircraft can only be followed online if they are sending out signals that can be tracked, such as transponders. These transponders are typically Mode C, Mode S, and ADS-B, mostly for air traffic control to use to allow them to maintain safe separation of aircraft. Many glider pilots do not carry these types of transponders aboard due to their high power demands. Without an engine, all electronics need to be powered by a small battery. This does not mean that gliders do not carry aboard some kind of tracking system. Instead, many pilots are using low-powered airborne collision avoidance systems called FLARMs. FLARMs are in some ways like ADS-B, but low-powered, as well as providing more frequent data to allow collision detection at lower speeds and closer proximity, something that gliders regularly do, but general aviation does not. These transmit using unlicensed radio frequencies, such as 868 MHz in Europe or 915 MHz in North America. Flight tracking systems normally do not monitor these signals. However, there are a number of amateur-built receiving stations that upload packets to OGN, the Open Glider Network. Open Glider Network's APRS servers, in turn, will feed various websites for tracking and metrics. One website is called Spot the Gliders, but there are others which use this data feed, such as WeGlide and Glide and Seek. Interestingly enough, FlightRadar24 also accepts the OGN feed and will show gliders mixed in with the rest of the other aircraft. Because farm traffic is low-powered, tracking receivers need some proximity and line of sight to the gliders, so sometimes a number of stations are required. However, glider traffic is usually close to gliding clubs. With a large enough antenna, you can pick up the signals hundreds of kilometers away, but this still has issues with line of sight due to the Earth's curvature. So, having a number of OGN receiving stations scattered around areas where gliders fly can help. What does an OGN tracking station look like? In my case, I'm building a number of receivers by using Raspberry Pi microcomputers connected to USB SDRs, software-defined radios. These are connected to a downlink antenna. The internet uplink is usually to a nearby Wi-Fi router. I first started with Pi 3B or Pi 4s, but now I've been using the smaller and lower-cost Pi 02Ws, which have enough processing power to handle decoding tasks. The software image I've been using is Sébastien Sontamontes, which is based on Raspberry Light Linux, or Bullseye, and running with an overlay file system for protection. I've been mounting these in small plastic snap lid boxes that I can get from Dollarama. For indoor installation, I cut out part of the lid and put a screen mesh to allow for air circulation for cooling. For outdoor, such as a temporary station, I paint the box white to prevent the sun from heating it up. Power is via a USB power bank, and the only hole in the box is for the tightly threaded SMA antenna connector. My first systems use a Witty Pi 4 daughter card attached to provide power conversion from a 12-volt power source charged by a solar array at the airfield. To keep it cool, it has an active fan. The FlightAware SDR stick has the case removed and heat sinks strategically mounted to not cause radio interference. The antenna we are using is several meters long, up on a tower, and receives signals from almost 200 kilometers away. This system was very expensive to build, but is the main one our club uses for flight tracking and automated flight logs. The setup does not scale well to mass deployment, so for now I've settled on this one. It's a Raspberry Pi 02W in a heatsink case from pishop.ca, a short USB to microUSB cable connected to an ADS-B exchange.com orange SDR stick in a metal case with a heatsink attached to keep it cooler. Cooling is passive. Power is provided by a USB wall plug with a 3-meter cable. 915 MHz antennas can be ordered via Amazon or from China. These were originally made for a system called Helium, which did not really take off. They used to be cheap and plentiful, but lately have become more difficult to find. Ideally, I would want to have a short lead from the antenna to a remotely powered low-noise amplifier, but that increases the cost. With the appropriate SDR stick, you can provide power bias T to these over the downlink cable. That's it for this video. Please click like if you like this video, and please consider subscribing to my channel to be notified of any new gliding related content. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.